Three, two, one, and we're live. Welcome everyone to That Song, Your Song, My Song podcast. Today I'm very excited to have a guest, Jordan from Mo Lauda and the Humble, and solo record Caiola. Did I say that right?
You nailed it. Yeah.
Cool. Jordan and I were talking before because I wasn't sure in my dumb brain if it was pronounced koala. I thought it was some cool spelling for that.
It's been mispronounced my whole life, and then I chose to just go with that for the solo project. It makes no sense.
I really like vowels, and I like the way that the word your name looks, Caiola.
That's why I've always actually liked my last name a lot.
Yeah.
I came around on my first name, but it does look, it looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
I won't lie.
So you play in Mo Lauda and the Humble. And I actually have kind of a nerdy story about you guys. So when I first got to Temple, like, you guys were very big in the house show scene at Temple. And do you remember a band, White Hot Noise?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Taylor and Chris.
Yeah, so I haven't seen those guys in years, but when I first started going to Temple shows, I went to one of their shows, and I think you were playing with them that night, or you were playing at a nearby house. And I was introduced, and I was coming from high school where we were playing in like the park for our gigs. That was like the big Omega. And then I go into like a college party with like beer and weed and rock and roll, and you guys are playing. And it was like, I was blown away. I was like, this is the shit. And this is like what's going on. So that was how I was introduced to you guys years back. That was probably in 2013, something like that.
Well, I think I have a funny story that I think the first time I heard your guy's name was we were supposed to play a show at some like small bar in South Philly, and we literally with you guys and White Hot Noise.
I remember this,
and we literally showed up with our gear and got there, and the place was just like pitch black. Like one guy that seemed like surprised that anyone else was there. Like,
I think it was called JR's.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it because we literally we were like, we're not playing this show. We all just packed up and we played a house show that night. I think that might have been.
I remember we got there and White Hot Noise came out of the bar and they're like, "Hey, the bartender didn't know this was happening and doesn't really want it to happen. We're gonna go play this gig with Mo Lauda."
We were like, "Good. It looks terrible here."
Wow, I haven't thought about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So you guys have been around for a while, and the second time that I caught you guys were playing Temple Fest.
Oh yeah,
right near the bell tower.
Yeah,
dude, and I want to get more into this in the interview, but
Spring Fling.
That's what it was.
Like, what was the name for that? They had some.
But you have an incredible voice. You have like one in a million voice. And that was the first time I really, in house shows, you can't really hear the voice as well.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah. But now hearing your talking voice, I can hear kind of where it comes from. But I feel like that really shapes your guys' sound, is not only all of you as great musicians, but this really specific one-of-a-kind voice.
Appreciate it.
So I want to talk a little bit about the solo record.
Yeah.
So it's self-titled.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, it's not self-titled.
No,
it's Only Experience.
Only Real When Shared.
Only Real. I love that title.
Out of Into the Wild.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And talk to me a little bit about that. What it was like writing it and all that.
I mean, I think I always sort of gravitated towards that folky kind of style, the singer-songwriter thing, and then build upward from there, even when writing for, Mo Lauda.
Mm-hmm.
I think a good song always spawns from like the bare bones of something like that. And then you kind of embellish it in different ways. So I always loved that kind of writing, and I had a lot of songs that never got to that next step. They just kind of sat and wasted away on my computer or in my mind. And once the lockdown happened, we had all the touring canceled. Mo Lauda had released an album on March 6th.
Yeah,
and the
we were
lockdown
going to
was
do Union Transfer with you guys.
That's right. March 14th was the lockdown. So it was just like this total shockwave of like the biggest tour of our lives was coming up. And to have that just ripped from us, obviously everybody lost something in all this mess. But I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something to sort of distract myself. And I decided, to try to gathered together all those songs that I had laying around, and those sort of served as a jumping off point for the project, because then I ended up writing the second half of the record, and scrapping certain songs and writing better versions of songs in that same, realm, that then like kind of pushed some other songs to the side. But once I had that kind of vision in mind that I was going to do like this sort of indie folk record, it just like everything else just poured out of me, which was always really fun. Once you have a direction, it's just really fun to run with it.
Yeah. And the sonically the album is really kind of in that atmosphere. It's very much the same world.
Yes. Yeah.
My favorite from the record is Alaska. I believe it's in Alaska. I'm not going to try and quote you directly because I don't want to mess it up, but you have this great lyric of like describing affirmations on the other person's mirror.
Yeah. Your daily affirmations in the corner of your mirror, penned in lipstick.
Yeah, and you talk about reading them over.
Mm-hmm.
I love that line. Like, I love poetry in general, but that line is so poetic. It's such a specific thing that even if people don't have that specific experience, we all have that little thing, the little pieces of somebody's room that are like ours and
that stick
mind.
out to you, and it might jog a memory for you. I usually sort of wrote in this, I don't want to say vague because everything has a purpose, but I wouldn't get into specifics like that, and I don't know what triggered it, but that's really been like my bread and butter lately. I really like that aspect of songwriting and not being afraid to say this is a very specific detail that applied to my life. And just like you said, hopefully people can apply something to theirs.
Yeah.
Even if it's not exact in their own memories. I think somebody showed me a Dermot Kennedy song. You familiar with him?
Mm-hmm.
He's Irish dude. His voice is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But he did something like that where it was like this really specific reference without being like cheesy, like
there is that line. I think Alaska is
careful.
perfectly not in that cheesy space. It's not towing it. I think it's far from it. I know I have my own lyrics that are definitely like getting closer. I'm like, am I over? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and so I love Alaska. I love Hydroplane. Is there something that you were specifically writing about for the record? Is it a bunch of things, kind of a collage?
Yeah, a little bit of a collage. I think once with the direction thing, once I had the title track and named it Only Real When Shared, which is a Christopher McCandless quote from Into the Wild. The full quote is, "Happiness is only real when shared." When I first became aware of that quote and its existence, it just stuck with me. And I think it's the realest, shortest, cut to the chase thing that I try to live my life by. Even just boiling it down to like when you find a great record or a new band, like you want to share it with the people you love. Like, why would you just want to sit on that and enjoy it alone? That's never made any sense to me, and I don't think it makes sense to a lot of people. I think the whole point of it is to share that, and to, happiness should be widespread. If we're feeling it, we want the people we love to feel it as well. So I wouldn't say that's like exactly, a specific current throughout the songs, but all of them deal with some sort of relationship, either within myself or with, a romantic relationship with friends, family, childhood, things like that. And it's kind of it's all in the same realm. It's just everybody trying to navigate the best way to share happiness.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for it, man. And that sentiment you're talking about from the quote, I feel like is something that's played out in my life as well, where I've always said the purpose of life is to share it with other people. And unrelated to the quote, probably subconsciously stealing the quote and stealing from the movie, but I feel like in a world where like we're so sucked into our phones and sucked away from actual connection, but kind of getting this synthetic connection through technology, which in a lot of ways is organically connecting us, but it's hard to distinguish that line anymore of what is sharing and what is like adding to kind of this collective thing that we're like still discovering the internet,
Totally.
Cool, man. So I also want to talk a little bit about Mo Lauda and you guys' new record. Also a great record.
Still new, technically.
Yeah, still very new.
Feel it. It's been a long.
And must have been. You had mentioned a little bit before, but right before the pandemic, you're releasing my favorite record of yours to date, and I like all of your records. The third record, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And then the pandemic happens, and you can't really do anything, and you're still kind of sitting on this amazing record,
Right.
Ready Coat. Everything's on streaming. Go check it out on Spotify and Apple Music. But tell me about writing that. What the difference between writing by yourself was and writing with the band. Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, Retico was the most collaborative of the Mo Lauda records. A lot of times I would come to them with sort of these backbones of songs, and then our job was to kind of embellish it. Once we got in the room and started playing everybody's parts, I always like those guys to put their own stank on it, so to speak. This one was a little different in that it was more, I have a verse and a chorus. I don't have the bridge. I don't have this. I don't have a bass line. Let's go in there and see what pops out. And it ended up being a lot of like studio time, which, normally we'd go in, play the songs, cut them, and then maybe some overdubs. But we were always a trio. Mm-hmm. I think that was the number one thing that shaped this album was we decided to add a touring member and become a 4-person band. And once that happened, it just like opened up all these avenues. I could play the simplest thing and there could still be a lead happening. Mm-hmm. So I started writing for, keys and things like that, knowing that Jeff and Kirby could both play them and switch off on the bass. So it just kind of built it that way. And it really just felt like limitless,
And you hear that. That's actually something I was going to ask you about because I always knew you as a trio. And the record is so full. And
dense,
yeah, where I feel like Creatures is very more derivative of like bluesy, kind of that like classic playing guitar, that rock and roll. This is like a soundscape.
Yeah.
Ready Coat is very much like, it's very nostalgic in a lot of ways, not in like a 1980s kind of way, but just like that kind of like thick, like you're in a place and you're in a time, like you're taking the listener somewhere. And that plays as a theme throughout the whole record. And that was cool. That was cool to hear that progression for you guys. And then you release that record, and then you have Only Real When Shared, which I feel like is kind of like a corner of that universe. That
a little combination of everything.
Yeah, because that also is like a soundscape. It's very like, I'm not even saying that it doesn't even sound like ultra layered, but it sounds very like thought out and like the leads on Ready Coat are like very hooky in a very cool way. So would that be more of the band that was doing a lot of that? Like, how is that collaboration working?
A little bit of both. Jeff Lucci, who we added to the band a few years ago, he replaced our bass player, but he does so much more than that. He's really gotten me into sort of that side of creating songs. And I think, because I come from the singer-songwriter camp, he comes from the opposite. Listens to... We intersect on some things we listen to, but he listens to some avant-garde stuff, a lot of instrumental stuff. So it's like combining these to create that nostalgia, to create that feeling without it taking away from the actual song structure and the lyrics and what you're trying to accomplish, the feeling you're trying to create. And I think he's just taught me a hell of a lot about that. And we really took our time with this and thought it out, chopped things up, did some like, DJ moves where it's like, all right, this is only 4 bars right now. We already recorded everything. Let's make it 4 more, you know what I mean? Or 6, a weird number, whatever. And kind of moving things around and going back in and saying, why does this transition not hit? Oh, it's because we could add 2 measures there and that's all you need, right? And then it's like a whole new section. Yeah. Just because it didn't go A, B, it wasn't blocks. Things like that, I think we were much more thoughtful as far as taking a step back, be a listener, and then go back in. You can go out there and rip electric guitar real loud, and if everybody's drunk enough, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. But when you make an album and expect people to put on headphones and really hear every little glimpse into what you're trying to purvey. That's like, I think that's a much more difficult task.
Yeah. I read an interview a couple of years back with St. Vincent, and she was talking about, the interviewer was asking like, hey, we've heard that you make your band practice for 12 to 18 hours. That seems a little excessive. Why would you do that? And she was like, people are paying $65 to give me their Friday night.
Yeah.
I can't afford to make a mistake. And
if you've seen her, you know that.
Yeah,
They're
I have seen her, and it's incredible.
It looks like they practice it.
Yeah. And, that really changed my frame of mind for thinking about people are giving you their walk to the bus stop. They're giving you their bus ride. They're giving you your Friday night, like whatever.
Right.
If it's a digital listening on your phone in your headphones, or if they're at the concert, like that is meaningful. That they are sharing more with you in a lot of ways.
Totally.
So I like that mindset. And then of course you guys have Shane, who you've had the pleasure of working with.
Oh my God, yeah.
On some newer Retina stuff. That is a wizard not only behind the drums, but behind the board. So that must have been a really cool experience recording that record. And he helped you with the solo record as well,
yes,
right?
Yeah, I mean, he engineered and mixed the entire thing. And we were sort of helping each other in that time, because we were both feeling pretty bummed out about it. So to have that distraction and to be able to spend that time together. And we treated it just sort of, I wanted to kind of go in and just make it really organic and, with that kind of a little bit of the opposite approach to the last Mulata record in some ways, in that like we didn't really sit with it that long. If I played a guitar part, hey, I messed up that one. Can you go punch me in? Hit that chord again. Play it. Good for you. Good for me. All right, move on. Like it was we recorded that quicker than anything we've ever recorded, and it's not that it was less work or less thought out. It just literally was like, let's keep this chugging along,
Yeah.
And I think especially in that kind of music, in that sort of realm, there's a little more room for error. Not error, just imperfection.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. Okay, that wasn't the best vocal take, but it made me feel like it was,
We were talking about Klaus, and both of us being Temple alumni of the program, and that was one of my favorite things that he ever said. He was like, you have to learn, him talking about being the person behind the board, you have to learn when the artist isn't hitting a perfect take, but it's dripping with feel.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to self-monitor, Totally. It's like
the combo too.
Yeah.
It's like it could be dripping with feel, but if that thing was sharp as hell,
yeah, but you might just be drunk.
It's not gonna be on the record. Yeah, exactly.
Cool, man. So we're doing Feist today, as picked by Jordan, and this was cool. Like, I think that a lot of people maybe listening, or at least for me, I know Feist as the first song that I'm gonna do, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
And it was like a Bloomingdale commercial or something.
No, I think it was one of those early iPod commercials. Where
it was
the silhouettes.
Yeah,
it was. You could not get away from that song, and I remember thinking, this is the most annoying song I have ever heard. And then I got into that album that it's on, and I was like, this is brilliant. The whole album's brilliant. And then in the context of that album, I was like, all right, I see you. Like, I'm sorry I judged you.
Yeah,
commercial lady.
When you first mentioned it, I was like, okay, I only know that song, and it's a funny commercial song. And then even just listening to that song and learning it, I underestimated it. Because I've only heard that blip it, the 1, 2, 3 blip, like the 12 seconds.
Oh, the next change that's the moneymaker.
Yeah. And then even Feel It, or I Feel It All, which is the second song I'll be doing. I don't know if it's like a xylophone or the dun, dun, dun. That reminded me a lot of Ready Coat for some reason. Like that sound sphere. I was like, oh, I can hear. I don't know what it was. It's just like a little,
Yeah.
But
it's just like instruments in unison playing a melody.
Yeah,
that's what that's the shit.
Probably a lot more simple than what I was thinking. But cool. So I'm gonna start it off, and I'm gonna try and do 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me that you love me more. Sleepless long nights, that's what my youth was for. Old teenage hopes arrive at your door. Left you with nothing, but they still want more. Oh, you're changing your heart. Oh, you know who you are. Sweetheart, bitter heart, now I can't tell apart. Cozy and cold, put the horse before you put the car. There's old teenage hopes with tears in their eyes, too scared to own up to one little lie. Oh, you're changing your heart. Oh, you know who you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Money can't buy you back your love that you had then. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Money can't buy you back the love that you had then. Oh, you're changing your heart. Oh, you know who you are. Oh, you're changing your heart. Oh, you know who you are.
I'm done.
Cool. It's
I had to sing that horn part.
Dude, I loved hearing
could not
it.
resist.
It's interesting trying to figure out songs for an acoustic arrangement because there's so much more music playing in your head, you know, and trying to arrange it in a way where you're still compensating for those melodies or those epic drum fill, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, I like that song. You know, something that when I was younger and I was super into, and I still love Zeppelin or Sabbath. Nice. But you think that everything, like back when I first started playing music, I thought that everything had to be epic and like an omega, like magnum opus. And the older I get, the more I just like simplicity, like concise songwriting. And I feel like this song is a really good example of that.
Definitely. A lot of her stuff is.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the same way. Yeah. Definitely. You need to learn the less is more mentality over the years.
It's hard.
Some people get it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who make, you know, some of these people who make their first amazing record when you're like 19 years old. And you're just like, screw you.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
I like that the new 20 or 30 is the new 20 because I remember being in the Retinas and one of our old band members when we were 19 that we wrote a song and it was cool. And I remember them saying like, "This is it. We're gonna be famous." And I remember like being like, "Yeah," but in my head being like, "I'm not ready for that shit. No, like I need some practice. I gotta figure some things out."
Oh man, if every musician had a nickel for every time they thought that
exact thought. Either of those thoughts. So what song are you gonna start us off with?
I'm gonna start with "I'm Sorry," which is a perfect example of that. I think it's quite literally just pretty much about a conversation.
Cool.
Or just some sort of argument. I'm sorry, 2 words always sting. After you're gone, then I realize I was acting all wrong. So selfish, 2 words that could describe actions of mine when patience was in short supply. We don't need to say goodbye. No, we don't need to fight or cry. Oh, we could hold each other tight tonight. We're so helpless We're slaves to our impulses. We're afraid of our emotions, and no one knows where the shore is. We're divided by the oceans. The only thing that I know is that the answer isn't for us. No, the answer isn't for us. I'm sorry, 2 words I always think. Oh, after you're gone and you realize you were acting all wrong. We don't need to say goodbye. No, we don't need to fight or cry. Oh, we could hold each other tight tonight.
Beautiful. Going back to something that I was saying earlier, your voice, man, 1 in a million, really incredible.
Appreciate that, man.
I don't know if you've been asked this question before, but is that something that you developed? Is that something that, is it just you sang, that's the way it came out? Like it seems so tender, and you have incredible control in terms of vibrato, you know?
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. I think a lot of aspects of it came over the years, but at the same time, it's something that was in me, I think, all along. Even if I hadn't harnessed it at a certain age, I'll even go back and listen to literal Mo Lauda recordings, and I'm like, oh my god, I could have sang this so much better now, maybe, And I truly believe, people ask like, is that something you can get better at? And it is. I think it's just a matter of like learning how to use it. I tried to, really switch things up in a lot of ways on Ready Coat and on the solo record too, because, the howling and yelling, gets old from time to time. It has its moments, but I really, Jim James of My Morning Jacket is my favorite dude in the world, and artist and dude, even though I don't know him personally. And I've just always loved how he can use his voice in so many different ways. When people ask my favorite band, I say My Morning Jacket. They say, "Can you show me a song?" And I'm like, "Do you have time for 10?" Because they've done, they've done it all.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
His voice, I can show you back-to-back song, back-to-back. You'll be like, "This is the same band." It's just, I've always loved that, and I think I've sort of tried to really increase the spectrum and the bounds of my voice in the last few years. But I think there were certain moments where I was like, oh shit, okay, I can do that. You're still always learning that kind of, or you watch another vocalist. I'm a YouTube fiend, and I watch a lot of live music on there, and I'll see them do something. I'm like, man, could I not necessarily pull off the same run, or I don't learn on a technical level, but can I create the same thing that person just did? Yeah. The same feeling that it emitted. Not necessarily copying somebody's style, but
I like what you're saying, because it's something that I put a lot of thought into in terms of. I watched this interview with Rick Rubin interviewing Kendrick Lamar, and he was saying like, hey, a lot of the time, like, I don't recognize your song because you change your voice so often. And it's this weird thing with artists who are more well-known, where when they change their voice, sometimes people are like, ooh, I love that. And sometimes people are like, why are you doing that? And it's something that I've been asked a lot with the Retinas, because like a lot of our kind of punk sound that's now changed, we're going into different genres, but was developed around the house show competing. Like I always wanted to croon. I always wanted to like Morrison, Sinatra, like Julian Casablancas. Like that's what I wanted to do. But like when you're playing in a basement and your drummer's slamming, there's just no crooning.
Sinatra started in the
So like then you get into like the Pixies, and like that's kind of like this weird, devilish, mischievous tone.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, it's not taking that tone and copying it, but seeing like what is my version of this? What is this frequency that I can get in touch with?
For sure.
And my favorite, and Kendrick's response in that interview is he's like, I mean, just whoever's coming out then, like when you listen to a Prince song, like Kiss is so much different than Purple Rain.
Oh yeah.
You know, those are two different parts of him coming out.
Totally.
So yeah, I like you taking note on that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Make sure my guitar is still in tune. Oh, I didn't plug in my guitar. I have a backup mic.
Good thinking.
I knew I put that there for a reason.
Good thinking.
Got to redo the whole thing.
From the top, we have to say all the same things.
Yeah. I have one of those ladies who are in the courtroom in the corner typing.
A stenographer?
Yeah.
They're not always ladies. So don't have to. Also, I need a water that isn't half frozen.
Oh, is that water frozen?
I've taken 408 sips and I'm only halfway done.
Yeah, that fridge is kind of, it does its own thing.
It does the job.
Yeah.
Totally. It is cold.
So I'm gonna do I Feel It All.
Hell yeah.
I feel it all, I feel it all. I feel it all, I feel it all. The wings are wide, the wings are wide. Wild card inside, wild card inside. Oh, I'll be the one to break my heart. I'll be the one to hold the no more than I knew before. I know more than I knew before. I didn't rest and I didn't stop. Or did we fight or did we talk? Oh, I'll be the one who'll break my heart. I'll be the one to hold. I love you more. I love you more. I don't know what I knew before, but now I know I wanna win the war. No one likes to take a test. Sometimes you know more is less. Put your weight against the door. Kick drum on the basement floor. Stranded in a fog of words. Loved him like a winter bird. On my head the water pours. Gulf stream through the open door and fly away. Fly away to what you want to feel it all. I feel it all. Feel it all. I feel it all. Wings are wide, the wings are wide. Wild card inside, wild card inside. Oh, I'll be the one to break my heart. I'll be the one to hold the. Oh, I'll be the one to break my heart. I'll be the one to. Truth lies. The truth lied. Lies divide. Lies divide. Oh.
Nice. That's a ripper. I'm glad you picked some upbeat ones.
The last
Otherwise we'd be putting each other to sleep here.
No,
That's a great tune.
Yeah, I like I know what you mean. The last podcast I did was with an artist named Barefeet, and he just put out like a surf kind of Beach Boys record, and we picked that artist Benny from Australia.
I'm not familiar, actually.
She's like a pop artist. She's great. But I took all the songs and I made them like a Radiohead depressing version. And he's doing like these like beachy happy versions. And I was like, anybody who really likes Benny is gonna see this and be like, why is this guy so sad?
Clear dichotomy.
Yeah.
She literally says in those lyrics something about less is more.
Yeah.
Knowing when less is more. Kick drum on the basement floor.
Yeah.
It's like full circle.
I love
there.
that line, kick drum on the bass drum floor. I'm like, you know what you're talking about.
You know,
right
live, they're like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
every time a drum is mentioned in a song, they like do a little drum thing or a knock on the door. You ever notice that? Every song that is ever mentioned, knock on the door, the drums mimic it.
Knocking on heaven doors?
Or
knocking
maybe not that one. Maybe that's
it's just God
obvious.
knocking. It's like, boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. No, I feel like if it's mentioned in a verse, you're gonna hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first time someone did that, they were probably like, that is true.
There's that Biggie song where he says, I don't want to live no more. Sometimes I feel death knocking on my front door. And then the snare goes, cat, cat.
Perfect example.
Perfect example of that.
Off the top here, Lucky by Britney Spears. Knock, knocking on my... Yeah, that one, there's like a billion.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bruce Springsteen does it.
Oh, he must have been
He does it in
one of the
half the
originators. Yeah. It must not be a record unless he's like, this record's not finished. Where's the knock?
Does it have the door knock?
I'm gonna go for
That's my
a
Bruce.
20-mile run on the beach.
Have you seen the SNL bit, the Ben Stiller? It's like VH1 storytellers, but it's Bruce Springsteen. He's playing Bruce, and it's only the stories. They never go. They never show him going into a song.
Dude,
all the stories are like. Dude, there's one. He's like, one summer my brother gave me a haircut with a buck knife. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they never go into the song. It's just the stories.
That is that about Bruce Springsteen is what I think every older person who's ever talked to me about music has said. Like, they're like, you should like tell stories like Bruce Springsteen. And I'm like, I love Bruce
Nobody's
Springsteen,
ever
but
told me that. Thank
I don't
God.
know if I'm gonna do that. Like, and he like,
You know
he
what
does
you
a
should
little
do?
like, it's when I was
Tell more
in
stories.
New Jersey for
Yeah.
I don't know, I just made him Southern. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bruce, if
no,
you're
he
seeing
kind
this.
of does sound southern sometimes,
Yeah, yeah.
man. Like that's kind of his thing.
Cool. What do you got next for us?
South Jersey, I guess, technically southern.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this song. The title says it all, and it's not off of the Reminder. I had to break our streak,
Oh no.
even though that is our best record. It's so good. Let's hop the next one, but it's called "I Wish I Didn't Miss You." Tried to find a way to talk about it, but I'm also in the mind to just let it go. Out of reach, out of my mind, I can't think straight. With the goodness all gone, feel so isolated. Well, you called me baby, and I called you one too. Until you spoke to me with another voice. You sending spiders to talk for you. And I was so disappointed, I didn't know what to do. I wish I didn't miss you. I wish I didn't miss you. I wish I didn't miss you. Wish I didn't miss you. Wasting so many hours away. There are so many ways to waste a day. Oh, in the same city, I hope that you're not. 'Cause this town is shrunk to the size of my thoughts. Well, it was so mystifying to see you so changed. I'd felt some certainty that you died. I wish I didn't miss you. I wish I didn't miss you. Now I wish I didn't miss you. Wish I didn't miss you.
Love it, man.
It's a real rocker.
Yeah, that song is a real. Is the one line you sent spiders to do your talking?
So I think I actually butchered that one. You sent spiders to fight for you. I said talk for you. Fights way heavier. Let me do it again. From the top. 2, 3, 4.
Honestly, either one of them
yeah.
is great.
I was so disappointed I didn't know what to do. I wish I didn't miss you. So have you heard the record version of that one?
I don't think so.
And I've watched, like I said, I'm a YouTube fiend, and I immediately, anytime I find something that hits me the way that song did, I try to find live versions. And she's phenomenal live. Oh my God, I saw her open for Bon Iver on that last tour when live music was a thing.
Was that at the Met?
Actually, Liacourt Center. I wish I saw the Met show. Weirdly enough, strange place to see Bon Iver. I was like,
yeah.
I
didn't know
I
Liacourt
watched
Center
so
had-
many Temple basketball games here, just high out of my gourd.
Yeah.
Now I'm just sitting like sober watching Bon Iver just be the best ever. But she has I think a freeze pedal on her vocal. So on those lines and like a tremolo, really heavy tremolo that comes through. So on those lines, especially that spider, that's the first time it happens in the song. And it's just wild sound.
Wow.
And then it like sucks back out and it's just dry as hell. And I wish I didn't miss you. She's a perfect example of like just songwriting, simple, kind of straight to the point stuff, but the production is just genius.
Yeah. That's a crazy idea to put a freeze pedal. Like, this is now something that I want to go and do that. Yeah.
I think that's what she's doing, or maybe it's just a really heavy delay.
Okay.
Might be a delay with it. Yeah. It's pretty wild. It's awesome.
That's cool. So was that the first time you saw it live, or did you see it on YouTube and then you saw it?
No, I didn't see it live. I saw it on YouTube live.
Okay,
and then
cool.
Figured she was doing something like that. I wish I had seen her.
Would you say that's your favorite?
Favorite song from her? Oh God, she's one of those where it changes. Like every time I listen to the reminder. Limit to Your Love. I was gonna play that one, but it's tough to make work acoustic. Mm-hmm. That one that basically, like at one point, it's like this beautiful piano intro, and then it essentially drops into a Jay-Z beat at some point, like a very chill.
Yeah.
It's like it's so grooving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna do Musha Bloom or.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
And I just can't sing in those like little like follow-ups that she does. Like she does the like
yeah.
Such a cool choice, man. I really appreciate
Yeah, I'm glad you dig it.
That's one of the cool things about doing this podcast. Yeah, it's getting cold. We have to turn off the heaters.
We're in a warehouse, okay? This is This is okay that I'm doing this.
This is a Hollywood set, so there's actually no roof. There's just lights above us. No, I'm just kidding. Cool. So I'm gonna do some original songs. I'm gonna do an older Retinas song called "Wretched Time." It has like the similar walk down to
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Cool.
So I found myself playing it a whole bunch after I'd practice it.
Nice.
And I wrote this song after like a dream that I had close to Christmas a couple of years ago. So it's around the same time of year. So this is called "Wretched Time." I forget how to play my own song.
That happens.
Ooh, I really forget how to play my own song right now. I'll be... Wait, here we go. I'll be... Maybe I'm not doing this song today. I'll be smiles on the
You
wall.
gotta be dreaming.
Yeah, how do I play this song right now?
I'll be smiles on the wall. I'll be broken pictures that will fall. Glass breaks. And I'll be driving late at night. No lights on. I'll be looking for that light and hit that sun. And I'll be making other moves. And I'll be waking up so late at night and losing you. And you'll be seeing all this too. Holding hands, we walk into the sun, and I swear it's true. No more wretched time in these pictures. I'm just fine. We can leave these guns behind. We can leave these guns be no more. Obtuse time in these days, it slips away. We can leave these guns behind. We can leave these guns behind. And I've had dreams of our one day wedding. You were dressed in all white lace, heaven. And you looked at me and you said, this life hasn't been the best to us, and I'm turning red. I see you in your diamond jewels. And I've been waking up so late at night and losing you. No more wretched time in these pictures. I'm just fine. We can leave these guns behind. We can leave these guns be no more. I lose time in these days. It slips away. We can leave these guns behind. We can leave these guns behind.
I like that
Remember
line.
the
I
love
like
at the end.
the tag there. Leave these guns behind.
Yeah.
Very cool. You said it came out of a dream, like you dreamt that and then woke up and wrote it. It was still there for you, or like you just took a dream that you had and then started writing about it.
Yeah, the dream was like this weird mesh of like childhood home / being at a wedding / like guns are like more of like a metaphor for just like being sharp the way you talk to somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like a lot of like communication, I feel like it's just kind of like sparring sessions. And yeah, so I woke up and then wrote that right around Christmas.
Nice.
And I think that I remembered it better when I woke up and did it than I did right before.
That's what I said. You gotta take a quick nap, and it'll be there when you get up.
Yeah.
That happens. It's unbelievable how it's strange. It feels like a muscle sometimes when you like. When Molad is touring, I don't think about a single note. As soon as you get back in there, it's like you have to think about your own songs. It's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, man.
It happens to me all the time. Like
It's straight. It always happens to me after I play another song that's similar to it. You know,
because then you're then you're like, what was mine again?
I kept doing that because I kept thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, which is like, and I kept trying to put the melody to that, and I was like, this is not. Like,
Maybe next time Feist goes to play 1, 2, 3, 4, she'll be like,
she'll see this
leave
podcast.
these guns, but oh shit.
I think she's
She'll be
British.
playing
She'll be
yours.
like, oh, I had the British.
She's
I had the
Canadian.
Redness. She's Canadian? Ooh.
I think.
Got a lot
Am I
of.
wrong? Oh shit! I should have known.
I don't know. Sorry,
thought she
Feist.
was
I'm butchering a lot of the facts about
Maybe
you tonight.
she's great wherever she's from.
Yeah, you're wonderful. Cool. So you're gonna do an original for us as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Alaska.
Oh.
I wonder what it might be like to be within the same four walls as you again, pressed against the cabinet in your room. And I watch you throw the pillows to the floor. Your daily affirmations in the corner of your mirror, penned in lipstick. I read them over 3 times on my own. I resist the urge to add another line to your life, to your time here till it burns out with the lights. Are you leaving or just getting home? It gets so hard for me to tell when I'm out here all alone. Tangled in your presence while you told me of your time spent in Alaska. We laughed about the silly things we've done for love, but we were only kids then. And I watched you get dressed for the very last time, just thinking how I'll never trace the contour of your spine with my fingertips again. Watching my world become so small. Now would you wait? Or are we terrified to let this marinate over time or into something good? And I can't help but wonder if we really could. But then I wonder if we even should. Blow my mind. I haven't felt this burning for some time now. And I've been cold, selfishly aware of all my downfalls. Then you come along to shake me out of nightmares, to talk me back to sleep in peace. Peace I find in you, and you find in me. And I won't disappear. Don't you disappear on me.
Absolutely gorgeous song.
Thank you, man.
Hearing it right now and hearing not only that line that I talked about earlier, it spills out totally into the verse. It becomes, you take this like one little moment. First of all, I know this is funny and specific, but I like that you say penned in lipstick. I don't know why I like that, but that's just a cool choice of words.
I guess I couldn't fit written.
Yeah.
Wrote.
But it comes out into wanting to add a line to your life before the lights go out. Like it starts from like this little piece of a corner of a mirror into the whole timeline of someone's life. It's very well written, man.
It wasn't written in lipstick. It was Sharpie or something. But it's a real corner of someone's mirror. But just like, I love fun little challenges of songwriting in that way. Like, how do I put this into a song gracefully? You know what I mean? Like we talked about towing that line, penned in lipstick. Like it wasn't written in lipstick, and I don't know how many lines there were, but or how many times I read them. But I like the challenge of like trying to make something not sound clunky.
Yeah.
That when you speak about it too much, like I'm doing right now, sounds clunky.
That's the way that it becomes universal, though. There's This is a silly example. There's a Arctic Monkeys lyrics where
he's got some good ones, man.
Yeah,
He says some hilarious shit.
He says very funny shit, and this is he says, "I call up to listen to the voice of reason. Did he forget back to me?" And I always think about like how he just didn't have enough syllables, so he used forget.
Oh,
did he forget back to me?
Yeah.
Like, did he forget to get back to me? But he's like, I'm just gonna get rid of 3 or 4 syllables.
Get back to me, yeah.
You know, and
he also says, there's the line, "Have you got summit in your teeth?"
Yeah.
He says, "Daft." As daft as they seem. I'm like, who writes daft into a song? It's the most British thing ever. It's great.
That's that. Where are they from? Sheffield accent.
Yeah.
I didn't know that summit was something.
Yeah.
And somebody explained that to me by accident.
It's a thing. Yeah, but when I first heard it, I was like, what is he saying here? He's always had good ones, man. Do Me a Favor.
Dude, I was literally, she walked away.
To tear apart the ties that bind, perhaps fuck off might be too kind.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
That is like my whole like 16 to 20. That was like my lyrical pool that I would just dive into. And Do Me a Favor is filled with them too.
Yeah, that's that, and AM. I love AM. That's a great record too. Man, they don't really miss much. It's a great band.
So what do you got coming forward, man? What's the future look like for the solo project as well as Mo Lauda?
Yeah, I mean all the stuff that we talked about, Reticoat and the solo record, both on vinyl. Got some cool bundle options, include some T-shirts and things like that, signed posters, things like that. As far as putting stuff out, you know. I put out 2 records in 2020.
You can mark up 2020 as accomplished.
A breather. Yeah, but I've started writing for another solo record and for another Mo Lauda record. We've been in the studio, which is very exciting. You know, to get back into that mode and get stoked on stuff. And
you guys recording out of Headroom?
We've just been doing some like demoing. I'm not sure. We may work out of Headroom. We love that place. Mm-hmm. We're gonna end up doing at least some stuff out of Headroom. But Jeff also has his own spot in Old Kensington, which is incredibly convenient.
Cool
to work out of and just to be on your own time and your own dollar. And we've been working out a lot of the demoing process that way.
Cool,
which has been really fun. So yeah, I mean, hopefully 2021, fall 2021, maybe real things start to happen again. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I'm a fraction of myself when I'm not touring and sharing this, you know. It's a tough thing.
It's a really tough thing, and it's tough for the country and the world in general. And
everybody feels it.
Specifically for musicians, obviously, because this is a music podcast. I know that musicians collectively can share the experience of feeling like the one thing that you do, you can't really do.
Totally.
You know, and like not being able to tour is hard. Not being able to just even play in your hometown is hard.
I know. Yeah, we've had the options to do like the social distance kind of shows, and we did one drive-in show, but it was because we were opening for a band.
Mount Joy.
You know, they're big enough to do something like that. We couldn't fill out a parking lot, 300 cars or whatever, however many tickets those guys They're selling so many tickets. It's wild.
I would have cried if I was playing that show,
Dude,
just because it's been so long.
Yeah, man, it felt absolutely insane. It felt like I don't know, like the first talent show you ever play when you're like in 8th grade or something like that. Like I'm
How'd you
trying
know
to think
about
of
that?
my first gig ever. I think it was at like a church or something. Like, you know, they'd have
Yeah.
like you'd get like a 10-minute set. There's like 90 bands that night.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of getting off stage or getting on stage for this instance was just like, oh my God, this is so much.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it, man. And in the meantime, we'll try to keep putting out good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I like what you
definitely
said,
put
though, about just, you know, you started this podcast because you missed just shooting the shit with other musicians and
It's
just
my-
getting to, you know, hang and talk music and talk shop and play.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the things that keeps you inspired, you know, like being around other musicians, getting like being in the room with them, like talking about it. Like one of my favorite things, like one of my favorite venues is Ortlieb's, and Ortlieb's is like a 100, 120 cap,
Yep,
you know,
120.
and it's the perfect place because it's where everybody cuts their teeth.
Totally.
Learning to like fill a venue, you know, and it's got a great owner, and you just hang out in like that
Shout
back
out
little
Kyle.
room. Yeah, Kyle, you're great.
I know, man.
And get to like meet every band from Philadelphia. And if you're not playing that night, you're hanging with somebody that
Absolutely.
night. You know,
I mean, that's why I
And-
moved to Fishtown. As soon as I graduated from Temple, I was home for 2 years in the burbs, but I was just like, man, I got to get back there.
yeah,
Because you're surrounded by, you know, I don't know if you know the Don Drapes or if you know
Yeah.
Kirby. Just there's so many good bands in this one neighborhood.
and that's
it's
another
just
reason
fun.
I wanted to start this was because there's so much good music in Philadelphia that, especially at a time like this, needs to be shown to the world in some kind of format. And
Yeah.
I selfishly want to play, and I selfishly want to hang out with musicians. So this is my excuse to do that.
Well, happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. It was great.
Oh yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think go check out Caiola on Spotify, Apple Music, all that, and Mill Loud and the Humble. And one day music will return, and they'll come to a town near you. Thank you, everybody.
Big time.